We had a discussion on the goodness in people and how much there was some discussion around that. And over the past 100 or 200 years, we see the trend going in different directions, like global warming and families disintegrating, and jails are getting flooded and punishments and things like those. So I was trying to scratch my head around this in terms of I got impression from that discussion, and even earlier also I have seen in earlier discussions that human being is inherently good, but because of ignorance we do all these mistakes
and conditioning.
And conditioning. We do these mistakes are being done by mankind. So if we wanted, we could blow up Earth 21 times, and we have nuclear bombs and things like that. So these two things seem to be, and I also made a comment earlier that if we want goodness, then why is goodness not happening in the world? And so these two seem to be contradictory, and I was going a little bit deeper into this also, that when we start to do the counting or numbers in terms of, like, we have these many countries and the wars are happening, we have these many nuclear bombs, and in terms of if we see the goodness that happens at the consciousness level, which is uncountable, so the comparison is really doesn't make any sense. And then I started to think about, maybe let's see the net impact humankind is having on the earth, or in general on the mankind itself. Earth we can see it is disintegrating and global warming is happening, and mankind, effect on mankind also, the news are not very encouraging. So what makes us think that human, and then we also discussed that during the day, if we did not have enough positive things happening, we may not be living, or means there is positive things happening. I see these two contradictory.
What is the question?
These two are contradictory. Means what makes us think that yes, human being will go further, and maybe it is just the words of the conditioning. Like for example, when the question was asked whether, and then you had mentioned you are hopeful.
Yeah.
So maybe then I just want to see this in the right light.
Okay.
Every time the answer comes, okay, if the human being remains ignorant, then we will burn this earth. If human being does not go towards ignorance and go towards Gyan side or knowledge side, then the earth will be heaven. So again, it's a if condition, but and we also say human being is inherently 51% right. So then shouldn't we be hopeful and we should be doing the right thing?
So, yeah. So there are two things. One is, we are right now at a cusp where we need to, or maybe some people are saying we are actually past that point. But at first address, should we be hopeful and why not hopeless? Because by being hopeless we don't achieve it.
Right.
Whatever we achieve will achieve through hopefulness. So we are at a cusp where we have to decide which direction we take. And humankind has always been on this juncture. But we have not been able to decide take the direction as a collective to go towards the goodness side or in the harmony side. Okay. As a collective, the systems are oriented on basis of exploitation. The essence of all the systems are exploitation, authority, exploitation, domination. These are the essence of all the systems, from family system to any other system which is prevailing.
Yeah, fear and greed.
People as such are good. People are populating these systems. If you talk to a CEO of some, like say, a big company, that person will turn out to be a decent person. But that as a company, as a corporate entity, what it is doing is really damaging to the planet. Right? So people who are manning these places are okay, but these systems which are there are damaged. So we have to basically change these systems. But these systems cannot be changed. I mean, system is again an abstract thing. It is basically our acceptances for these such things that is what is propagating. So these acceptances are because we have only been conditioned to look at our animalistic sides. So till the time we realize our human side, these systems cannot be changed. Like for example here, we are in touch a little bit with our humanistic side, so we don't need to worry about our stuff, I mean, which is lying just like that. Nobody is putting it on the block in key or things like that. We can trust each other. Right? But there is still a lot of scope that we can improve. Of being how to be considerate, how to be more organized, how to be more effective. There's a lot of scope to improve in this collective also. So we are not working as a collective in direction of harmony yet. So that is the problem. The problem is the system's momentum is one direction. People are still okay, 50%. I mean, overall 50% population is in the right, more than 50% population in the right direction.
Right.
But, and also as an individual, the 50% of the individual is okay. It is only in the other way. But all of them are participating in a 100% rotten system. Whether it's the education system, health system, government system, trades, production, all of them are rotten. They have to discard it as soon as possible. We have to think of a new way of living on this planet as a collective. There is not 1% decency in any of the prevailing systems. That we have to realize.
So then that makes me think that the top organizations, like some influential like ones, for example UNESCO or maybe some other who are capable of turning the direction of mankind, because the top people there also will be good, like you are saying CEO of Google or some.
UN, UNESCO, all of these are also rotten organizations. I'm telling you, all organizations on this planet right now are rotten. You have to reconfigure. That's where sometimes people lose hope, because if you explore any of these collective systems, they don't have anything. Justice systems, your production system, your social system, any system you take, any collective you take.
Medical, education.
Everything. All exploited. All based on absolutely wrong principles. If you look at world level organizations like WTO or WHO was recommending these vaccination programs worldwide. In the UN, now the biggest, most influential entities in the UN are corporates. More than 60 or 70. Or somebody was saying the majority is now in the hand of corporates. It's not that they are controlling government heads or the representatives. Actually, corporates have a seat in the UN. And all corporates are for profit. Profit is only based on exploitation. There is no other way you can make it. Okay? Will we come back to this? You want to? I want to complete this here. So before we went, we were on this slide. No? So matter is soaked in space, matter is immersed in space, matter is encompassed in space. So if you look at under immersed, it is immersed in perfect. Space is perfect. Why are we calling it perfect? Because it doesn't change. whatever is incomplete or imperfect, there will be a change. So matter is incomplete in itself, so it keeps on changing, evolving. But since matter is immersed in space, and which is basically it is immersed in perfect, therefore it has influence of space, it has taken the influence of space and is striving for perfection. So matter is striving for perfection. That is why evolution takes place.
Sorry, come again.
Matter is striving for perfection through its activity. So the activity is not random in matter. Because it is immersed in space, therefore it is immersed in perfect, therefore it is influenced by the perfect, but it cannot become perfect because matter cannot become space. But it can depict perfection in certain ways. So we talk about 3 perfections in this. I should show that also. I'll just show it, but I won't explain those. So, it is active for perfection. There are 3 perfections. One is the perfection which is called functional perfection. This is, second is conduct perfection or structural perfection. But I won't explain these right now because this requires a lot more time to understand. But it talks about 3 perfections. Okay? And because matter is encompassed in the space, therefore it is regulated. It is in balance. So the regulation is in form of recognition and response. When you look at anything in nature, you observe things are in an order. So they are. How is order coming out? Like for example, in an atom, there is a nucleus, there are some particles in the nucleus, some are in the orbit, and they stay together while they are doing their activities. So some are only spinning, some are spinning and doing also revolutions around the nucleus, but they stay together. This is regulation. Every order has natural law, natural regulation and natural balance. What we describe as natural law it is defined in Jeevan Vidya as definite conduct is the law. Like for example, 2-particle atom which is hydrogen, wherever these 2 particles come together to form hydrogen, they will exhibit the definite properties of hydrogen. Properties is basically the conduct. So that is the law of nature, that these 2 particles are coming together and they are always depicting these certain qualities. Then when 4 particles are coming together, they are depicting certain other definite qualities. When 18 particles are coming together, they are depicting certain different kind of qualities that we call carbon. 24 particles depicting oxygen. So every structure, natural structure which is in balance, is depicting definite conduct, definite qualities. So this is what we are calling natural law, which is basically definite conduct. Definite conduct is equal to law. Okay? And this definite conduct is based on that there is a harmonious recognition and response for harmony. This is what is happening at every level in nature, except for the ignorant human being. Ignorant human being is not able to recognize things completely. But besides that, everything in the universe, everything in nature is able to recognize and give a proper response for harmony. So all recognition and response is for orderliness or for harmony. That's why we are calling that natural regulation. Because the resultant state is harmony. So they are not doing random motion that we study. They are doing a regulated motion. They are doing regulated activity. Natural regulation is defined as continuity of the definite conduct or continuity of the law, or law is equal to definite conduct. So continuity of definite conduct is called regulation. The example for this I'll say is, let's take a look at, say, any plant cell. A plant cell is a specific kind of a plant cell. So suppose we are taking a mango biological cell, then it is a definite configuration. It has definite elements in it. It will have definite kind of chemicals in it. It is not that all biological cells, mango biological cells and say guava biological cells will be exactly same. No, they are chemically slightly different. And the mango cell is also a definite structure which is also depicting definite properties. But it also has an ability, and this biological cell lasts for about, say, a week or so. Say a biological cell lives for a week. So, but during this 1 week, it makes many biological cells like itself. So the qualities which it was, the properties it was exhibiting, which were serving a utility in the system of the leaf, but when the cell dies, it has already made more cells like it, which keep giving that property. So that purpose is being served. So there is a cell which is doing some work, say it is doing respiration in the leaf. It will die in a week, but it has already reproduced many cells like it, so the respiration will continue. Yeah. So even though the cells are dying one by one, the leaf can exist for a long time because the respiration is taken. Like the cells in our body, some say that they change within a month or some duration they say. I don't know what, but it is a very small duration. And the body as such lives for, say, 100 years or 80 years, whatever you think is the number, which is much bigger than the life of the biological cell. And all the matter changes in our body. Then sometimes I wonder what is our body, because all the matter which was there is coming and replaced, but still the body is continuing. So what is the body actually? What is the structure actually? The matter is not the same. There's the skin, the cells, and the cells are made up of the atoms. They have changed. This is not what I started with, or your body started with. They have changed several times, but the body is still there. So what is there? This arrangement is there. What is this arrangement? This is an order. So the continuities of the order. The matter is just coming in, playing its role and moving out. Coming in, playing its role, moving out. But this structure, this orderly, and this is a dynamic thing, that keeps on continuing. That is the amazing orderliness in nature. That's the regulation. Nobody misbehaves. No, I don't feel like doing this, so I will do something. Nothing of that sort. And all these, there are so many different types of cells in my body. Some are functioning in the eye, some are functioning in the brain, some are functioning in the kidney, liver, everywhere. They all are doing a regulated conduct and the whole body is in a balance. The whole body continues because it is in a balance. Otherwise the body cannot continue. If the cells in, say, kidney started overwork, then the kidneys work will have an impact on the body. It's overworking means it started expelling some things from the body at a faster rate than the regulated rate. This will have a detrimental effect on the body. Say the lungs stop functioning less than the optimum, then the body cannot function. Or the liver stops producing the juices which are needed for digestion at a higher or a lower rate. Okay. So they all are self-regulated things which are participating in this system called body, and the whole body is in a state of balance, which we call the head. It is an amazing system. There's so many parts to it. So many things coordinating with each other, collaborating with each other. And if we start seeing the nature, everything is a collaboration. Everything is a system, everything is an order. So the question is, where is the tendency to be, do the definite properties, self-regulation, balance coming from? Where is this tendency coming from? We're saying this tendency is there, inherent in the smallest to smallest particle, because they all are so immersed and encompassed in space. That is that. So every particle already has this tendency inherent in it to be organized, to be orderly, to seek harmony. So whenever two particles see each other or come near each other within proximity, they recognize and start exhibiting that harmony which is possible in those conditions. So if there are two particles, they will do one kind of harmony. If there are 100 particles, they do a different kind of harmony. If there are million particles, they are different kind of a harmony. Planet Earth is, I don't know how many particles. Innumerable particles which are exhibiting harmony. So the whole nature is built on this principle of recognition and response. This is because of matter is in space, and this is the omnipresent state. This is always there. It never changes. There is never change at this level. Whatever the events happening at the other levels, this state will never change. It is the fundamental. So when we were talking about Atma and what is Anubhav or realization in it, the Atma sees itself in this state, sees the Jeevan as a unit is soaked, immersed and encompassed in space. This is what it realizes. So it becomes a witness of the fundamental reality. And therefore, it understands that everything is self-regulated because of this. Therefore, the tendency, whatever tendencies it had earlier, go away, and the tendency to be self-regulated becomes the dominant tendency. That's how the shift takes place. This is what Anubhav or realization is all about. And this ability or this faculty of Atma is there in each and every person. Because each and every person is a Jeevan, and Jeevan has this faculty called Atma, which is there for realization. But Buddhi and Atma, we are not even utilizing in our day-to-day living. So they keep knocking at our conscious from time to time in terms of unfulfilled, that feeling of achieving anything and then later on realizing this is not sufficient. This is a signal from Atma that fulfillment is needed. It keeps on giving us this signal. Whenever we understand something, if we discover the limits of its, suppose we discover some principle. We discovered law of gravitation. Then later on we discovered that Newton discovered, and then Einstein said, no, this is just limited to this much. This doesn't apply outside the planet. For outside the planet, we need a different gravitational law. Then Einstein proposes a law. Then we are finding the limitations to that law. The Buddhi's signal to the Jeevan is that it needs universal laws, universal regulation, and universal balance, the principles of all this. So that's why we keep seeking universality always. Whenever we are calm, non-agitated, in a normal state, these are the things that we need. So the inherent human being, the inherent tendencies in a human being in a non-agitated state are to seek this. But we have made our lives like this, the systems like this, that we are never in a non-agitated state. We have been conditioned to think that excitement is happiness. So we keep on agitating ourselves, exciting ourselves. So we never stay in that normal state long enough to realize things. Look at any system you participate in. There, you can't stay calm. There are targets, there are goals to be achieved, which are because there is competition, there is struggle. All these are glorified things, no? Competition leads to development. Struggle is glorified. War is glorified. Exploitation is glorified. And this is what we are projecting onto our younger generation, and they also start doing the same. So, this is the fundamental reality. The matter being so immersed and encompassed in space. And therefore, every unit is energized, active, and regulated. You take any unit of matter, it will be energized, it will be active, and it will be self-regulated. And because it is self-regulated, whenever it interacts anywhere, it only leads to some form of harmony or order. Nothing else. Power is power. So this state of space and matter, the coexistence of space and matter, where matter is so immersed and encompassed in space, this is what we are calling fundamental coexistence. So all insentient and sentient matter is permeated in space. This is what we mean by that. Permeated word here is indicating that it is so immersed and encompassed in space. This leads to the orderliness of systems. So the basic principle governing any system is recognition and response. So any two units in nature, they will recognize each other and come to an arrangement which is the best possible harmony in that area, in that domain, in those circumstances. Functioning governed by natural law, regulation, balance. In humans, justice is the law, righteousness is regulation, and truth is the balance. So in human domain, these are called justice, righteousness, and truth. What is called law, regulation, and balance in the nature, these three things are called justice, righteousness, and truth in the humans. How do we understand a system? So each system has a definite purpose, definite constituents, definite activity, and definite value. Like a body is a system, right? Or atom is a system, or a solar system is a system, a tree is a system. So it has a definite purpose. Each one of these have a definite purpose. There is a definite consequence in that. A body has definite constituents, right? A tree has definite constituents. Atom has definite constituents. Solar system has definite constituents. And definite activities, all these constituents are doing some specific activity. Like in a body, liver is doing its own activity, kidney is doing its own activity, lungs are doing their own activity, heart is doing its own activity, brain is doing its own activity. Everything is doing their own specific activity. And every activity is adding a value, definite value. And all these values come together to serve the purpose. Everything is oriented to achieve the purpose. In case of human body, it is the purpose to be healthy and alive. That purpose is achieved. Right? In a tree, it is supposed to be healthy and alive. That purpose is achieved. Atom, it is a balance. The purpose is to, suppose it's an oxygen atom, then it is to depict oxygen properties during its, wherever it is participating. So this purpose is basically served by all the constituents. So in nature, it is very easy to identify any system, right? A body, a tree, or a planet, planetary systems, or atomic systems, all these things. Anywhere you look, it's a system. When we come to the human domain, say a family, human family. Does human family have a definite purpose? In the present form, the way we are living today, does it have a definite purpose? Does it have definite constituents? We don't know. One child, one parent, is that a family? Two parents, one child, is that a family? Three generations living together, is that a family? Multiple people of three generations living together, is that a family? We don't know. What are its consequences actually? Right? What are the activities in a family which everyone is supposed to do? So the only activity we care about is earning money in the family. And maybe taking care of health and some part of education. But the education is also for earning money.
What we care about?
First is for earning money, second is health, and the education for health or money, or health and money.
They are all connected. After a point, money is like a need for money is all for future healthcare. Like what if something happens, I need money then. And somewhere does the purpose of when you look at human bodies, each organ, when you say each organ's thing is to keep this being alive. And is that somewhere aligned with the broader purpose that we were talking about? We were saying that to keep the human race going. It's an inside out, like both.
From electron, proton, neutron, or even the subparticles of those.
Correct.
That purpose is embedded from that time.
That's true now. So when
To
we were
any
discussing
structure.
that,
Even galactic structures are for that only.
to keep So when we were talking about to keep the human race going, I think now it kind of, when you look at it this way, it makes sense. Right?
So everything is contributing for us to go ahead
yeah.
and achieve that state for which we are meant.
Yeah.
But we are busy looking after this body or looking for happiness through this body.
Yeah. And we felt it's a very selfish goal. When we were talking about,
Yes.
is that the whole goal? I mean, to keep the human
Only
race
this much.
going. Yeah.
So the whole existence's effort is involved.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, even suppose we burn up this planet, there are many other planets where this thing is playing out. So there will be many solar systems in the galaxy where there will be life. There will be planets where there is already humans trying to do this. Some have already destroyed their planet. Some have been able to discover harmony and living in harmony. All these states are there. These are omnipresent. There's another concept I want to talk about. It is about, if you look at existence, all the possible states of harmony in existence exist all the time. In Hindi we call it Nitya Vartman. Vishnu, what should we call it in English?
Ever present. Eternal now.
Eternal now. Sheila? What did you say?
She said,
Ah,
eternally present.
Eternally present. So all states possible, all permutation combinations are always there in existence. When we look at overall, this we can understand by one example. So, how many people would be, how many fetuses would be there in the womb right now on planet Earth? I mean, how many women would be pregnant with babies right now on this planet Earth? Let's say X number. A very large number, we say. How many children are being born in this very moment when there are babies in the womb? Say again X, on an average we can say take the number X. How many children are 1 year old in this very moment in which there are babies in the womb and also being born? 1 year old are also about X. How many are there 5 year old, 10 years old, 20 years old, 40 years old, 60 years old? How many are dying in this moment? So all the stages of a human life from the womb to death, they are present in this moment. What about the next moment? So what is changing? Nothing is changing. All these states are there. Change is only visible when you localize it in terms of space and time. Then you see, oh, within these limits, this is change. Like on planet Earth, the evolutionary process is a change because we've localized on the planet Earth. But if you think in terms of universe, how many planets which are still in a very nascent state, how many planets where material order has developed very well, how many planets where biological order is also there, how many planets where there are animals, how many planets where there are humans but still ignorant, how many planets where humans have realized knowledge and living in harmony. So all these states are omnipresent, always.
The other way to see the same thing is that what you gave example of body.
Yeah.
Our body exists, all the cells are changing.
Yeah.
Another question. I just wanted to check in the next, after this particular thing, will we be having detailed thing on the Nyaya part?
Yeah, tomorrow. Okay. Yes.
Can you please explain that part once again? When you, which explains that, all the universes and is helping us to serve that purpose, that for the survival of the humankind.
So, the whole system, all the matter which is there, is in space. There is only matter in space, right? And all the matter is so immersed and encompassed in space. Because of that, all the matter is energized, active, as well as regulated. So whatever is happening is in harmony, right? Because it is in harmony, the matter from one level of harmony evolves to another level of harmony, right? So all the processes taking place are for harmony, right? So the whole evolutionary process is for in harmony. And it culminates at knowledge order, which is supposed to witness everything. So everything which is happening around us on this planet is in support of that. All the microbes, all the insects, all the animals, all the vegetation, all the storms, all the earthquakes, everything is happening in an harmonious manner. They are needed for the planet's harmony. None of these are bad. Nobody dies in an earthquake. And nobody dies because of the earthquake. People die because of bad buildings built in the earthquake zone. In 2012, there was first time in India when a cyclone called Hudhud came, and not a single person died, because we used the telecommunication systems to inform everybody on the India's east coast. There was a huge storm in Bay of Bengal, and not a single person died. So if we understand it, we can respond to it. Somewhere or the other we feel these are bad things. They are out to harm us. No, nothing of that. We don't understand them, so we don't know how to live with them. Japan has proven that you can live in earthquake-prone zone. Very easy. But if you put stones over in the roof in earthquake zone, they will fall on it. Okay. So now we come to nature is in form of 4 orders. We started with recognition and response, then functioning governed by natural law, natural regulation, natural balance, justice, righteousness, truth. So the first 3, law, regulation and balance, determine the natural order. And these 3 determine the human order. Remember our human goal? Continuity of the human order and the continuity of the natural order. So for this, we don't have to do anything except for just participate. For this, we have to understand and practice. Okay? We have to organize ourselves as a system. But the nature is already organized as a system in form of 4 orders. Let's take a look at those. So what we talked about the coexistential harmony, from atom to molecular chains, to long molecular chains, to biological cell, to less developed biological life, more developed biological life, geographical area, planet, solar system, galaxy, clusters of galaxies, whatever. Each unit with its own uniqueness is an order in itself while participating in the larger. So, moving on to the 4 orders. So, maybe we can skip this. In this slide, basically what we are saying is that at every level, whether gross or subtle level, or causality level, there is only harmony. And we go on to talk about at the fundamental level, there is coexistence of space and matter. We've already talked about this. So I'll skip this. So material order. Material order is all things made up of matter. So if you're looking at planet Earth, all this is material order. Then out of this, some matter also has respiration. That is the biological order. Out of this, some matter is aspiring and having self-awareness, which is the animal order. Out of which, knowledge order. All things made up of matter, aspiring, self-aware and having awareness of meaning and purpose. or potential for meaning. This is the knowledge. Okay? 4 orders. Okay? Material order and biological order are insentient, and animal order and knowledge order are sentient. Material order is predominantly physical activity, biological order is predominantly chemical activity. Animal order is chemical physical activity, which is body, plus some conscious activity, basic intellect. Knowledge order is complete conscious, that is spiritual intellectual activity, plus chemical physical activity, body. So there are 3 activities in existence: physical activity, chemical activity, and conscious activity. These activities are expressed in various forms of things that we see around us. So material order and biological order are limited to physical chemical activities. That's why we are calling it insentient. And animal order and knowledge order have conscious activity. So that's why we are calling it sentient. But this conscious activity is limited to basic intellect. But in this, the conscious entity, the knowledge order entity, has complete consciousness, spiritual and intellectual. Now we come to we had said we will talk about the difference between the 4. What is the difference between material order and biological order? Right? Oh, before that, let's look at this. Material order is useful for biological order. Biological order is complementary to material order. Biological order is useful for the animal order. Material order is useful for the animal order. And animal order is complementary to material order as well as biological order. What about knowledge order? So animal order is useful to it, biological order is useful to it, material order is useful to it. So we are not fulfilling our responsibility. So
where do you draw a diagram of
I
for itself as well? So where knowledge order will be, every order will be useful to itself, like the continuity part, that will not be.
we are talking about interrelationships of these orders. Okay. So this state where we are utilizing everything but not giving back anything, what is it called? Exploitation. That we take but don't give. We don't fulfill our part. So humankind's problem is not being able to realize what is our responsibility. Whether it's fellow human beings, whether it is the relationship with nature. We are not able to do our part, but we keep expecting from the other. The humans always use relationships. We don't live in relationships, we use relationships. Living in relationship is fulfilling your part also, being complementary. All these 4 orders play out on a planet. So what does that mean? That you won't find a tree floating in space, or a cow somewhere orbiting around the moon or something. These will only be found on planet. So evolution it requires certain conditions. This is important to know. A planet is a very complex system where evolution has taken millions and millions of years to come to this stage, to exhibit all the four levels, four orders. There is a sequence of emergence of these four orders. Lower orders are useful for higher orders. Higher orders are complementary to the lower orders. Higher orders are nurtured and secured in the equilibrium of the lower orders. For example, animal order. For animal order to survive, the balance between the harmony of the material order and the harmony of the biological order has to be there. Only then can the animal order survive. So if they are not in a balance or a harmony or equilibrium, the higher order will not survive. Similarly for humans, material order, biological order, and animal order have to be in a harmony, in a balance. Then only can we survive. Then only can we thrive on this.
That's a problem.
Huh?
That is a problem.
That's a problem.
Right now, that's a problem.
So what we are doing is we are damaging this very balance. That's why humans can be called living by Kalidas Buddhi. Sitting on the branch and cutting that branch. The story about Kalidas is on top of a tree, or sitting on a branch, and is using his axe to cut it. So when we have these UN organized meetings for controlling the damage to the planet and things like that, so to reduce fossil fuel consumption or fossil coal consumption. Right now, that I remember the meeting when Manmohan Singh had gone to it, and we were arguing in the at that level that look, you developed countries have utilized and polluted so much, so we must be given the right to come to that level of pollution, then we will stop. Whereas they were saying, like, whatever we have done, we'll continue to do, but you must stop, you should not. So everybody wants others to stop, and we will not stop. That is the problem. So what is happening in the material order? The material order is dependent on environmental factors for formation, continuation, deformation. So the three events taking place there, continuously. So things are coming together, this is called formation. Things are coming apart, this is called deformation. But between coming together and staying apart, things continue to be together. This is continuation. If we were to look at the durations of all these three events, event of formation, event of deformation, and event of continuation, which is of longer period?
Continuation.
Right? And interestingly, say for example water. How is water formed? When oxygen and hydrogen combine, that is how oxygen is formed. Right? So in fact, in the word, whenever you burn anything, right, there is hydrogen in that thing, and that hydrogen turns into, combined with the atmospheric oxygen, turns into water. That's why in Hindi the word is jalna. Jal ka banna jo hai, that is fire. Okay. Now this, on this planet there is a large amount of water, right, which formed at some event in history of the planet. So whatever water was required on this planet, it formed. But even today, there are some molecules of water which are forming whenever we burn anything, like we burn wood or fuels, anything that is burning leads to the formation of more water. the deformation of water molecules is also taking place. Like one example is whenever there is lightning and that lightning passes through molecules of water, they will split. Oxygen and hydrogen will separate. You can do this experiment carefully. Put some two wires and put them close enough, and if the current starts passing between those two ends without touching, then the bubbles start forming at both the, and that is hydrogen oxygen forming. We used to use this device with blades and a small insulator in between to heat up the water when we used to study in hospital. So that time they didn't provide us with geyser and things, so we worked out this mechanism. We used to heat up the water. Anyway, so water is forming and deforming. But the water required on the planet stays the same. Amount of water required.
Water required.
Amount of water required to sustain the life on planet continues to be the same. Why? Because there is a balance in formation and deformation. The rate of formation and rate of deformation is in equilibrium. So the continuation is ensured. So there will be some X amount of molecules which are forming, so X amount of molecules are there on an average over a period of time. So the amount of water which is needed on planet Earth remains nearly about the same. There is a range within which it stays. When we say same, it is a range of minimum and maximum. So this is happening in the material order. Okay. Material order has things coming together. When things come together, they are a definite structure, they do a definite conduct. Like one oxygen, two hydrogen is a definite structure, its properties are called water. When two hydrogen and two oxygen are there, H2O2, it becomes hydrogen peroxide. Even though the good thing has increased, oxygen has increased, it is not drinkable. It's a different structure, therefore different properties, entirely different properties. H2O is a structure of two hydrogen and one oxygen that has definite properties of water. Whereas H2O2 is definite properties of hydrogen peroxide, entirely different properties. Right? So coming together various components, continuity of structure, breakdown of structure, then structures formed due to environmental factors, formed structures continue to conducive environmental conditions, formed structures break down due to environment. So the causality at this level in material order is all environmental factors. Coming together is because of environmental factors. Like you have iron, right? And then there is moisture in the air, it starts to rust. So why did the iron rust? Because the environmental factor had moisture. Right? If there was no moisture, it was dry air, it will not rust. Right? So all changes which are taking place in this, the causality of that is environmental factors or environmental conditions. So material order is totally governed by the environmental factors. Looking at the biological order. So now biological cell is also definite structure. It has a nucleus, it has a mitochondria, it has a lot of things. Very definite work it does, definite conduct it does. It also has certain abilities which are more than the material order. This definite activity is the same as material order. But what is more? It now has the capacity to choose from its environment what it needs. So every biological life, every plant takes what it needs from the soil or air or water, depending on. So it has the ability of choice. the ability of choice or the capacity of choice is now active in this. It started functioning at this level. So it chooses what it needs. This thing is called ingestion. And then it processes, and whatever are the byproducts, it eliminates. And in the balance of ingestion and elimination, it keeps itself nourished. Our body is a biological unit. You can take it as an example. So it is healthy when intake and elimination is in balance with each other. If intake is more, elimination is less, that is a problem. If intake is in control but elimination is more, that is a problem. So body stays healthy, or any biological life stays healthy in the balance of ingestion and elimination. So that is one capacity of nourishment. What is nourishment actually? There are many things working here, many components working, many molecules, molecular chains which are interacting with each other and forming different structures and different functionality. It's a very complex thing. Biological cell is a highly complex thing. Somebody asked the scientist, like the first time the biological cell was seen under the microscope, and who discovered it? Robert Hooke.
Anthony?
Hooke. Not Hooke. Hooke. At that time, what they imagined a cell was, and what modern science understands as what a biological cell is. One scientist was asked, what has changed? He says that at that time, if we compared what we saw in the biological cell, it was like a bicycle. And now it's like a rocket, which has got so many components and so many things which can take a object to the outer orbit and come back and things like a spatial, not rocket, as a spatial, that complex. So it's a very complex machine. So there is wear and tear in this. And this unit has the ability to take stuff from its environment and maintain itself. Maintain all the wear and tear. This is what is called nourishment. That's why we take food and that's why we breathe. For energy and maintenance. This is what it's able to do. This is much more than what material on it. Okay. But there is another activity which this does. It takes the material from outside and makes a replica of itself. It multiplies. Reproduction. So what is reproduction? A biological cell is there, it is taking matter from outside, whatever it needs, and rearranges it into its own form and separates from it. This is called cell multiplication. Reproduction. So these two abilities, nourishment ability and reproduction ability, are the characteristic abilities of the biological life, which is much more than what material ought to be. But all this is happening under conducive environment conditions. What are these conducive environment conditions? That it needs a definite kind of range of hydration, it needs definite range of temperature, pressure. So it needs certain conditions, then only can the biological life thrive. If these conducive conditions are not there, suppose there is no hydration, then this process stops. Right? So the temperature goes too much up or too much down, this process stops. If pressure increases or decreases too much, this process stops. Now, planet Earth is such a beautiful system that it's on its surface, the temperature is regulated. So much heat is coming from the sun every day. You know the difference between day and night temperature, right? If it is cloudy one day, then the temperature drops. Right? So the surface of planet Earth, the temperature is regulated by the planetary systems. Right? Different areas have different temperature control mechanisms. That is why the biological life emerges when the planetary system has the ability to stabilize, regulate temperature on the surface. Then only will the biological life thrive. Before that has happened, like on Moon, the temperatures cannot be regulated within a given range. So on Moon, if it is day, the temperatures are very high. The surface temperature, anything you touch would be like very high temperature. And in the night, it will be very cold temperature. Okay. And when we say global warming, what is that? We are disturbing this balance of temperature regulation by changing the composition of the atmosphere and especially the atmospheric layers which are there near the surface. So this is biological order. Any clarifications on this, what I just said?
Can you go back 3 seconds?
Huh? Oh. This one?
The first
Oh.
one.
You have to play it one time, it looks nice. Otherwise, you have to wait for it. Okay, this we've done, this we've done, this we've done. Coming to the animal order. The biological order summary. So what we saw in the material order we were calling formation, that activity is now shifted into the unit, the biological unit, which is now the reproduction. Anything?
No, just, I mean,
Use the mic.
it's not even okay, may as well. I wasn't going to say this, but may as well, the lower orders, saying the material order and the biological order, are useful to the animal order, but the animal order is complementary. So complementary and useful is defined as how?
Yeah. So, how do you complement anything? Complement here we are using in terms of completing something. So, for material order there is a definite purpose. The definite purpose is to achieve a balance so that biological life can emerge and thrive. So, sustaining the biological life is the purpose of material order. What is the purpose of biological order? To sustain the animal life. What is the purpose of animal balance in the animal order? Sustain the knowledge order, right? Like that. So the animal order, it contributes to the material order through its excreta, its urine, its hair, sweat. All these things are going into the soil. What does it do to the soil? It nourishes the soil, increases its fertility. When animals die, the whole body becomes, makes the soil fertile. And this fertility, very interestingly, whether it is coming from plants or coming from animals, right? If you take a chemical like urea, when you take some chemical compounds, nitrogen, and make urea in the factory, its ability to nourish the plants is say X. But the urea which is formed in say in animal urine, its ability to nourish the plant is 5 to 10x. There is a qualitative difference in that. We usually think urea is the same chemical, it won't have it different. There are many other properties, there are physical properties, other properties. Thing which is coming out of an animal body is much more in tune for fertility of plants. So the purpose of material order is to sustain the biological life, so animals are complementing it. Our animal life complementing the biological order. The biological life also develops some sort of diseases, and these diseases can be are regulated by all these, the excreta, urine, sweat, air, even the breath of certain animals. So for example, if you're growing vegetables and suppose you're growing spinach and it gets this disease where there are just like black dot things which come up. So if you make a solution of cow's urine with water and you spray on it, that disease goes away. So that way animal order is complementing biology. The excreta and the urine of the animal life supports certain kind of microbes which are very healthy for nourishing the plants. So that's why the change happens. So a lot of people have discovered this. Now they ask you to make some, like when I was doing agriculture, we used to make something called Jeevan Vidya. This was popularized by one agriculturist,
Subhash Palekar.
Palekar. What you do is you take 200 liters of water, put 20 liters of cow's urine in it, some cow dung into it, some anything which has got glucose in it. So usually jaggery, you put it, you let it ferment. A little bit of soil so that the bacteria from the soil is also there. And then you mix it well and let it ferment for 2 days. And then you take this, decant it and then dilute it and spray it on in a plant. It just makes a jump in the fertility of the soil. Amazing. Just give it back. Yes.
And not to mention how animals are pollinators and they prune the
Yes.
trees and
Yeah,
all that.
all that. Yeah. Yeah, so that reminds me of another example which I talked about. In the modern science, the evolution theory, I don't know what they teach now, but when we were in school, they used to teach that like animal like giraffe evolved into a giraffe because there were leaves at the higher level, so it wanted to reach to that, so it was over generation they were trying to reach it, so the neck became long and long and long.
Lamarck's theory.
Huh?
Lamarck's theory.
Lamarck's theory. I think that is not discarded or something.
It's discarded now. No. There's neo-Lamarckian theory. There's Lamarck was earlier discarded, Darwin was adopted, then there was neo-Lamarckianism because of epigenetics.
Right. So they took that from the body function to the genetic material where this happens. Anyway, here in coexistential model, what we are saying is that the utility that giraffe serves is pruning tall trees. This is needed for the balance. That's why giraffe is. It's not because some animal is trying to jump up and it will be like that. It is because it is needed. So whenever these things happen, whatever kind of biolife is there, like right now there is a certain kind of biological life or plant life. So there are that kind of animals which can thrive on this. Like at the time when dinosaurs were there was a different kind of biological life plant. And they thrived on that. We talked about that on the other. So animal order. Animals have the ability to select conducive environment. So what is their new capacity? You want to say something?
One thing we were noting is, do we want to take a short break because it's a long session till 7? Also, we'll put the cover over there.
That would take more than 2 minutes. I don't want to take a break.
Oh.
We'll take a break in 1 minute. Just close it.
Oh, there's this participant attendance register, and everyone, Sambhaavnaa requires all the participants to sign their names on this. So, if before leaving, we can do that today.
You can pass it around. So animal order, they have all the abilities of the material order as well as the biological order. But the extra thing which is happening in the animal order is they have the ability to select conducive environment. Okay? What does that mean? Migration. So when the temperature conditions change or the rain conditions change, if it is too dry, the animals start to move towards areas where there is more water available. If it is too dry, or too hot, they start to move towards colder areas. Huh?
Same here. They're also migratory
Yes.
from hot. Also just walking.
Huh?
They're just able to move. Yeah.
Yeah, but why they have the ability to move is because they have the higher ability of selecting a conducive environment.
I'm saying besides migration,
Huh?
they have legs. Yeah? So they can just move into the shade. Or,
Like that.
Yes. When it's too hot, they will go.
Yeah, undo.
Now, this ability to move, right? Think of it evolving out of biological life. Like suppose suddenly there is a heat wave in some area, like it was there 2 days back. So a lot of plants will dry out, and if the heat waves continues for too long, the plant will start dying. What will the animals do? They will move to colder places, will maybe go higher up, or go under who can burrow will go deeper into the ground, and things like that. They'll find a place where the environment is different. So they have the ability to select conducive environment. Whereas the biological life thrives in conducive environment, it cannot select a different kind of environment. So this is the extra ability they have. And for selecting the conducive environment, they have the ability to be mobile. They have mobility, they have movement, they have motion. That's how you select an environment, conducive, which is like whether moving behind into a shape or migration or these kind of things. For this you need mobility. Okay? So animals can distinctly be identified with their ability to be mobile. Okay? Now, interestingly, for something to be mobile, there are two things which need to be met. Think of biological life, which has got many parts to it. Now suppose it has to move. So one thing it will now need is something which connects each and every part and is flexible. Because for movement, it needs to contract and expand, like a worm or a caterpillar. It moves like this. More evolved, like we walk, we also have muscles which contract and expand. So it will have a connective tissue like a muscle. Second thing it will have it will need coordination in various parts. So one part is contracting, the other part is being dragged. Right? Like when I stand up, this is mobility. My body leans forward to keep the balance. When I move forward, the whole thorax region also moves forward. So that balance is there. Right? And this can only happen when there is coordination. So we need a system which coordinates all the parts. What is that system? The nervous system. So animals will have a connective tissue as well as a nervous system. These are two things physiologically which you can identify to differentiate according to Jeevan Vidya whether it's an animal or not. If it has muscles and nervous system, then it's an animal. If it doesn't have muscles and nervous system, it is not an animal, according to our classification. We are not classifying it on basis of cellular condition, like it has a cell wall, therefore it's a plant, and it has a cell membrane, it's an animal. That's not the classification we are doing. We are classifying it on basis of whether it has connective tissue as well as nervous system. On basis of that. So the smallest to smallest thing you take, say, most least developed animals like worms, you will some biologists have done dissection and they have opened it up and seen that they have nervous system. Right? So this is what the extra ability of the animals is, the ability to select the environment, conducive environment. Okay. And then there are variety, diversity in biological life, diversity in animal life, all we can see. So some have mobility in water, some have mobility in air, some have mobility on the land, all these kind of things. The animal life thrives in all the places. Should I come? Tall.
This is
Yeah. What happened?
who has the puff thing which was magic?
Lavangadi Vashi. Yeah, that one. No, the way to have this tablet is take it, put it between your cheek and your teeth and leave it there. You don't even have to suck on it. What happens is when you leave it there, your saliva keeps your throat wet and that stops the cough. Don't chew it, or by chewing it, it doesn't do anything. Okay? Now before we go to the knowledge order, and you can see a pattern. In material order, it was totally dependent on the environment. In biological order, it had the ability to choose from its conducive environment what it required, and also it could take material and make its own kind, replica of its own cell, reproduction. In animal order, it has the ability to choose the conducive environment. What do you think is the extra ability of the knowledge order? More than this. All this we can do. When you were mentioning that you also migrate, can we call it animalistic behavior?
Bravo.
Create a conducive. Yeah, that's the thing. So the language I use here is, knowledge order has the ability to, and I'm using this very thoughtfully, develop its environment. What is the ability? The ability to develop its environment. Right? So this is our inherent ability as humans. And somehow or the other, even though without doing any Jeevan Vidya Shivas, the politicians realize this. And they keep selling development from all political platforms. Right? Development, development, development. And that's why we buy it also. But where is this development come? That window has to be blocked with a stone or something so that it doesn't open into peace. एक पत्थर रख दो ना उसके बाद जॉइंट पे वो बाहर स्लेट्स रखी थी हाँ दिस विल put the stone there. Put that stone there so that it doesn't open.
You just
It's
created a
working,
conducive
that's good.
environment. Example of what you said, you created a conducive environment.
That is it. Good. So knowledge order has the ability to develop its environment. So since times, prehistoric times, what we've been doing, we've been changing our environment. Right? In cutting down the jungles, we've been changing the courses of our rivers, we are changing the shapes of our mountains, everything we have done. So one would wonder, why is this ability there? I mean, you're not doing any good with it. Right? So the thing to understand here is, human being has two kinds of environments. Because human being is a composite of two things, Jeevan and the body. So this physical environment around us, which is made up of material order, biological order and animal order, is the environment for our body. Do we need to develop it or change it? Not really. We just need to learn how to live with it. Just little modifications so that we like make a mud house or something like that and live with it. What is the environment for the Jeevan? I can't. Harmony. Environment for. So environment is something which has impact on you. Like on body, the trees, the sun, the air, this has an impact on the body. So what has the impact on the Jeevan?
Human-human relationships.
Human-human relationships. The social environment. Right? We have the impact on each other. How we are talking to each other, how we are behaving with each other. Right? So the environment for Jeevan is the social environment. Is there a need to develop that? What do you say? Of course there is a need to develop that. So our ability to develop the environment is there to develop the social environment. But somehow we are misguided, we don't develop the social environment, the quality of the society is the same since prehistoric times. Exploitation is the only rule which is there. And the physical environment, we keep doing things to it in name of development. What is the tool for developing the social environment? Education. Through education, we can develop the social environment. So humans are meant for living in a harmonious social environment. Once they start living in harmonious social environment, then only they are able to harmonize their human nature relationships. Our relationships will not be harmonized with nature without harmonizing our human-human relationships. This we need to understand.
Can you repeat that line?
We cannot harmonize our human nature relationships without first harmonizing human-human relationships. So, yes, Indika, you asked.
I was just saying that means that my ability to perform at work is directly driven by my family relations and
By your behavior.
Or
It's a function of your behavior.
is a function of behavior.
Yes.
How I'm tranquil or peaceful, but
With the fellow humans.
with a fellow human.
Yeah. Not tranquil or peaceful, harmonious, just, righteous and truthful. Now these are the terminologies that we'll be talking tomorrow in detail. Tranquility and peace has been talked about, and what has achieved has been achieved. Now we have to relook at things with these this language.
I was trying to understand, you mentioned that human-human relationship, if that is in order, then we have a human nature relationship also good.
See, yeah. Why is it so?
So what I understood from this was, if I have good social environment, then I am at peace and I am able to focus on my work in a better manner. I will be doing constructive work with nature rather than destructive, because when I am in an excited state or agitated state because of my social environment, I will not be at peace in how I use nature. In that case, I will misuse or exploit nature.
So the answer to that is that it's not only I. Our relationship with nature is the net impact of the collective. Until the time we are in harmony with each other, how will we have a unified impact on nature? Right now we make policies. Nobody follows the policies because nobody understands them. So there is no self-regulation in it. So everybody is doing their own thing. So the net impact on the nature is as a disaster. So but till the time we become a cohesive unit, we become systems, family system, social system, production system, health system, education system, justice system, exchange system, then we can have proper policies. Without abiding by a proper policy, without self-regulating according to the policy, we will not be able to have a proper impact on nature. Like this village, Kandai, the people who are living there, if they understand, they have understanding with each other and they can take care of each other's needs, then we won't probably have the need to light fires in the forest. We will not have the need to cut trees randomly. We'll ensure that for our social environment, we need this much forest. We must maintain that. Because without that, there won't be enough water for us. But we are not able to work that out. This is my land, I will cut the tree because it belongs to me, I want to sell it in the market, I have to get my child married, whatever.
collective thing has come up few times in this workshop.
Yes.
And we said Jeevan Vidya is a program to start working on the self. So I was just trying to see how much work it is, because first we have to change ourselves, each one of us, and then not only that, even if it is just a collective consisting of 2 people, we know how difficult it is even to just then get that going. And then we are talking about a collection of families or community. Until that acts as a cohesive unit, then only then will we be able to see some change going in the positive direction.
So it seems difficult when we have the animal consciousness. Therefore, that upgrade from animal to human consciousness is essential. Without that, collaboration is not possible.
Yeah, that's true. Otherwise, there will be fear, greed, competition, exploitation, and
all those
cohesive
things
unit
come.
not possible.
Okay. This we've already talked about. What is the tool for developing social environment? You want to ask? We classify these 4 orders in a certain manner. This is more detailing. I won't be going into a lot of details of this right now. But all the 4 orders can be understood on basis of these 5 X: form, property, nature, order or dharma, and determinant. This determinant word is okay with Krishna?
Yeah, I use concordant.
Important. There are certain things words which we are still working on. So that determinant column is basically on what basis is the conduct determined. So this is in the material order, when any activity takes place that brings about a change, and that change results in a state. So there is a state, activity results into a new state. So this new state is a result. So whatever the result, that kind of conduct. Like there is hydrogen and oxygen in the air, and some reason hydrogen gets ignited, and now the change is taking place, and now the resulting state is water, H2O. So the properties of hydrogen are not there, oxygen are not there, but water is there. Hydrogen is not exhibiting its hydrogen properties, oxygen is not exhibiting its oxygen properties. Instead, both have combined to exhibit properties of water, which are very different from hydrogen properties and oxygen properties. So, whatever the resultant state, those properties, that conduct is continuous. In the biological order, the seed determines. Seed here represents the genetic material. So whatever the genetic material, those properties continue. That conduct continues. In the animal order, it is the pedigree. Pedigree is the right word.
I use
Reminds me of
lineage.
brand. You have to change that word.
I use lineage.
Lineage. Lineage. These are your words, not mine. This table you made 2 years back.
No, determined I would.
Anyway, that we'll discuss. So, lineage determined. And this humans, the culture is not the right translation. Again, these words we need to change.
That's why it's there.
Sanskar is basically your acceptances, your beliefs. Huh?
It gets mixed up with.
Here, the relevance is beliefs. Here in this table, it is basically belief. Whatever your belief system, that is the conduct you. What we mean by
acceptance.
Huh?
This is acceptance.
Acceptance or belief, yeah.
Like agreement, acceptance.
Acceptance. Whatever your acceptance is, that's the conduct you do. Right?
Daniel, today we will go to play football. Chess. Chess.
Yeah. The
Yes.
last slide.
Yeah.
When we were discussing about the purpose long, probably 2 days back, it was coming along that the universal order part of it. That
Universal well-being.
universal well-being.
Yeah.
And just now we talked about the human order,
Yeah.
and in between we talked about the system and also talked about the space.
Yeah.
So what I'm just trying to ensure my understanding is correct. The system cannot be built unless and until we are one.
So, yeah. Till the time our knowledge is complete.
Till the time knowledge is complete for all human beings.
So, suppose 2 people are knowledgeable, they can build a system of 2 people.
Of 2 people.
If 4 people or 10 people, they'll build a system for 10 people.
But for the human nature relationship, the net impact will be, for the net impact to happen, it requires a majority or whatever.
For 2 people, they'll be able to have a policy and have a harmonious relationship with the nature as 2 people. But overall, if you see humankind's relationship with nature, that will not be fixed yet. But these 2 people are now coming to harmony with nature. So say it's now the 10 people. So the 10 people's harmony with nature will also take place. Then say a village, whole village has become knowledgeable. So the village's harmony with nature will take place. In that way, step by step, everything. We don't have to wait till the humankind is realized, then only we'll start working on this. No. 2 people can have a policy. 4, 10, 20, 100, 1,000, whatever.
Anyway, once we understand this, how will we stop ourselves from living that way?
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Once we understood this, why will we be exploitative to nature?
We put a big word understanding.
Yeah.
We are already doing that. To the extent that we understand, we will end up living.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about us is, humans have faced this big issue of implementation. We believe people understand things but don't implement it. Here we say, if you understand it, it becomes part of your conduct. Understanding is equal to living. So you don't have to implement your understanding. That automatically translates into action. If it is not getting translated into action, it basically indicates you've not understood. There is no implementation problem. It is an understanding problem.
Understanding or misunderstanding, both.
Yes. It's a misunderstanding. We are assuming that we understand, but we are not able to implement. That's not the case. It is lack of understanding, that's why it is not in our conduct. So instead of trying to force people to do certain things, which is that we are trying to regulate their conduct, we have to work on their understanding. when we were talking about power of imagination and power of willful action, one thing I want to add to that is, nobody likes interference in their power of willful action. Like if I tell you, please don't do this, or why don't you do this? And if you perceive it as interference, then you won't like it. Nobody likes to be told what to do and what not to do. So how do we collaborate? This is the only way we have known, by telling each other, do this, don't do this. So that is where the human-human communication we have to focus on. Then we understand that the only way to communicate with humans after a certain age, or even from very early age, is proposals. Proposal is the only basis of communication. And if it will have any value to the person to whom it is being proposed, they will genuinely accept it. So they don't need to be convinced, they don't need to be forced to understand, nothing of that. If it will appeal to them, they will accept. That's what you have to remember. And not to interfere in the power of willful action. Propose to their imagination. This is possible, this is possible, this is possible. And if it makes sense to them, they will definitely do it. So this, we talked about this determinant thing, that seed determinant we talked about, that is the genetic material, lineage determinant. Whatever lineage it is from, it will behave like that. A dog's offspring will behave like a dog. Right? Dog has a very definite behavior. Elephant has a very definite behavior. Monkey has a very definite behavior. Right? So they will do a definite conduct. Humans do not behave according to their lineage. Their conduct is determined by their belief systems or their acceptances or their sanskars. In Hindi we call that sanskars. Their fundamental acceptances. Sanskar is basically fundamental acceptance. So whatever you believe, you live. You believe people are good, that's how you live. You believe people are not good, that's how you live. You believe people can be trusted, that's how you start. You believe people can't be trusted, that's how you start. So our conduct is determined by our beliefs. Beliefs can be educated beliefs or uneducated. Belief based on knowledge or belief based in ignorance.
I have a question. Like you said that when we are interacting, we're either coming from, like we've accepted the other or we've rejected in our interaction. And sometimes we're also swinging between these two in a relationship, in a conversation. Where is this acceptance and rejection even coming from?
See, it is coming from our circumstances, how we responding to the circumstances. We have no other basis right now. Right now we are what we call in Hindi partan. So different circumstances evoke different emotions in us. Different situations evoke different emotions in us. So if the person is useful in certain circumstances, then acceptance is there. In other circumstances, there is rejection. So it's a function of our awareness. We'll talk about this tomorrow, how this happens, what is the basis of this, the values, how we value the person, how do we see the purpose of each relationship, how do we see our roles in those relationships, all that we'll talk about. So the next column is, so this you understand, no, that humans' conduct is not determined by lineage, it is determined by belief system. like a teacher's son or daughter, child will not be a teacher necessarily. We try to institutionalize this. Like in India, the caste system is basically that. That's the mistake we make. That they will, we consider certain castes were branded by the British in the 1850s as criminal castes. There is a list which we still maintain. So if there is any crime somewhere, people of those castes are collected first and interrogated. Rajasthan is.
I work in that area. Meenas were called as criminal, right?
Yeah.
But now they are.
So we have had these kind of systems. We have tried to live according to these beliefs. Right? So human knowledge order is basically the conduct is based on their beliefs. And how are beliefs formed? Whatever conditions we are growing up, how we accept those conditions, whatever education, whatever environment we receive according to that. Whatever study we have. So there are three factors: what we study, what environment we get, and whatever beliefs we have had earlier in combination to these environmental factors and our study, we form our beliefs. Then this order or dharma. These are those characteristics which are inseparable from this order. Or these are the characteristics which define this order. Like for knowledge order, happiness defines it. You won't find a human being who's not seeking happiness. Anyone who feels happiness is not possible commits suicide. So, this is what defines this order. This order is defined by will to live. Animals have the will to live or hope to live. Biological order have the nourishment or growth. If nourishment is not taking place, then it's not biological order. If nourishment is taking place, it's biological order. Material order, they exist. Matter cannot be destroyed. So it will always exist. So its defining property is existence. So this plus is, biological order will have existence plus growth. Animal order will have existence plus growth plus will to live. And knowledge order will have existence, growth, will to live plus happiness. But in each order, their dharma will be the predominant part, will be the dominant, which will govern them. They are defined by this.
What is positive, negative, and mediation? What is positive, negative, and mediation?
Oh, this, I'm coming to that. Let me just do this first. So the nature, or in Hindi the word is Sambhaavnaa. What is nature of things? So material order's nature is coming together or going apart. That is the nature. By order, beneficent or maleficent. Basically means promoting nourishment or harming nourishment. Promoting life, living or harming living. Yeah. So poisonous. Things, some plant lives are poisonous, some are nutritious. So beneficent or maleficent.
What's the purpose of that?
It is for the balance.
Insectivorous plants.
Huh?
Insectivorous plants.
No, that too, but some, like, if you go, there is the bichu booty which grows here, which got hair like leaf, hair on the leaf. It touches your skin and you burn. So these are made for different purposes, controlling, balancing things. very nutritious though. There are plants, trees under which if you sit for say a few minutes, you can go unconscious because their properties are like that. There are many plants like that. Then there is cruel and benign, or cruel or timid. Cruel we are defining as one entity, one conscious entity, to fulfill its material need, deprives other conscious entity of its medium. So basically, carnivores and herbivores. In fact, we should put that here. So let's put this just a few carnivores and herbivores.
No.
But yeah, that defines the activity. The nature is not here. So which cruel and non-cruel. I think that will be better.
That's one
Knowledge order. The nature is the humane nature is patience, courage, and generosity. The superhuman nature is kindness and benevolence, and supreme human is compassion. We'll talk about this tomorrow. This nature. Yes.
In cruel and benign, like isn't the animals do it for like their existence? I mean, is
Yes,
it a fact of cruel?
So, yeah. So, see the naming we are doing as human beings. Why we are calling it cruel is for its own survival, it is depriving something else's survival. Therefore, we are calling it cruel. But when we define cruelty in humans, we define cruelty in humans as there are three assets that humans beings have. There is mind, there is body, and there is their facilities. So, damaging either of the three, damaging facilities is cruelty, damaging body is cruelty, and damaging the mind or mental health is cruelty. So in humans that is that. The animals don't do harm the mental health, right? They just harm the body. They also steal each other's facilities. They steal each other's food and things like that. That can happen. That happens in the animal world.
The benign animal also takes away the biological order, the plant as well. So that also is depriving its.
No. So what is it depriving whom?
Plant.
So plant. So this is what the conscious. Here we are placing the conscious in this definition. So a Jeevan is there, which is running a body to fulfill the needs of his body. It is depriving another Jeevan of its body. When I say plant, be it a plant or something like that, we are not depriving anything of anything. Because there is no conscious entity there. I know this is a common argument in what is living and what is non-living, and what is consciousness and what doesn't have consciousness. And this extends to what is, the argument which is forwarded by meat eaters that you are also harming the plants because you are taking their life. These kind of things are there, but what is the basis of saying all this? So we need to have the whole picture. What is the picture? Okay. Then we come to this properties or qualities.
One question.
That, yeah.
Why do we not have any negative in the human form, any negative nature?
Mic is not on.
Yeah. In the human form, in the knowledge order nature, why do we not have any negative nature here mentioned there?
Yeah. Because the animal consciousness, where the negative nature of cruelty, cheating, right, or being timid, these are there. Why they have not been mentioned? Because this is 4 orders on the planet. We are talking about the harmonized forms of everything. The animalistic human being or the ignorant human being, its form is human form. Okay? And its dharma is also happiness because it seeks happiness. But its nature is not of human nature. So it will go here, but its form is not animal form, and its dharma is not to live. So it doesn't fit either here or here. That is why we are calling it is disorder.
So this is the ideal way it should be.
So this state we are living right now is a transient state. This is not the lasting state of the planet. Either the state will end up damaging the whole planet and the revolution will restart, that might take millions and millions of years, or we will evolve into this. Yes.
Like, as of now, like, is it possible that the human being become patience and kindness? They have the kindness and
Yeah, this is very much possible. Yeah. Through knowledge, through education, it is possible. Yes, yes, take the mic.
So animals have only will to live, like existence, growth plus will to live. They
Yes.
don't have like sukh or
They don't search for.
any kind of emotions.
No, I'm not saying that they don't have emotions. They have all kinds of emotions. But they are in tune with will to live. The emotions are for living, not to seek happiness. Our happiness, though we try very hard to be happy through our body, we are not happy. When you feel them, they're happy. If you want to call that, which is basically conducive conditions. And in that they express certain emotions. They'll jump around, they'll do something, they'll come and show affection. But this is because you are the one who is taking care of their needs. So they form association, they form a loyalty, they also feel upset, they'll also show anger. But this is when they're interacting with the humans and they're with them. So there are emotions, but they are within a certain range. So these emotions are not triggered by anything abstract. They are triggered by events.
So two things. One is example of like lovebirds, how they die, one dies and the other dies.
Is it?
That's why they're called lovebirds. But I think more realistic is, like I have seen this, that dogs, if they love somebody and that person goes away, they die. I have seen it happening in real, that they die in that not having that person around. They stop eating.
It could be a shock. Yeah. The animals do show grief. In my own family, I've seen, we used to have a cow which we had to take to our village. We couldn't live with us in the city because of the municipal rules. So whenever my father used to go there, it would cry. It would come, stand next to him, and there would be tears flowing. So all that is there. Yes.
That's not only built to live.
That's built to live only. The happiness that we're talking about here is through the abstract. We are not only having emotions because of events, we will sit and think about things and start feeling emotions. That doesn't happen to animals. It is basically the emotions are triggered by some events. Like somebody is not there, therefore an emotion is triggered. Somebody is come, therefore an emotion is triggered. So it's always here and now.
Job.
So let's say this emotion is triggered in an animal in certain present,
Yeah.
and then it will go away. It won't
It
be
can
there.
Yeah, they won't hold on to it for too long. I mean, animals don't hold on to their babies for too long. She don't.
I just want to add that happiness also in the human knowledge order comes from understanding.
Yeah. Knowledge
That
order.
is not there in the animal order.
Wait, when we talked about that, seeking happiness from sensation, that is event based, that is animalistic behavior. So when we start seeking happiness from values, value based living, that is not possible in animals. So animals cannot determine what is just and unjust, what is right and what is wrong. They cannot determine what is truth and what is untruth. So they are limited to that.
Animals have likes and dislikes. Animals have a sense of
Suitable, unsuitable.
unsuitable. That
And
this is
also
beneficial
profit
for
and
me or
loss.
not beneficial.
Comparison.
So they reflect that in their sentiments. They are very sensitive creatures. They are sensitive, but we are also sensible the other way.
So we have the potential to be sensible. Correction. We are not sensible. Yes.
Shivaji, happiness through understanding, like can you explain that?
Understanding
We are
of-
seeking happiness through understanding.
So we talked about 3 types of happiness.
Yeah.
One is seeking happiness in sensations.
Yeah.
The other was seeking happiness through values, value-based living. Third was seeking happiness in purpose. So purpose, which is the lasting happiness, which is the permanent happiness, comes from understanding purpose and then living according to
For understanding, we need contemplation.
Yes.
Right? And,
Yes.
and animals, based on what Drishta is saying, animals have comparison, but they don't have contemplation. Their thing starts at comparison.
They are limited in 4.5. There is no possibility of going beyond 4.5. Whereas humans are not meant to live in 4.5. We start with 4.5, we are supposed to graduate into 10. But we spend all our lives in 4.5. Yes.
Like, can we say in that animal order that, like, if a dog dies without his owner, like he has that will to live because that owner provides him proper food and shelter. That's why we got that connected.
I don't know whether this happens or not. I'm not too sure of that.
Okay. But like the logic says that it is like that.
What logic?
According to me, that the person provides him, food and shelter that, makes his will to live possible. So that's why.
When we keep pets, we are supporting their will to live. We are not providing them with any will. They already have will to live. Then we support it. So they start looking at us as sources for living. We are the ones who enable them. So they attach themselves to us. They have a relationship with us. They are very loyal. They are loyal. Their loyalty doesn't change even if few events happen which are otherwise. Like you get angry or upset, you don't feed it or something. Their loyalty doesn't change. Some breeds.
Some species.
But there are some animals whose loyalties also change. They can't resist the hunger. Hunger is a very big driving force in animal kingdom. There are dog breeds which are known to have killed their owners when hungry. Like we keep hearing this news every few years that in Kerala some elephant has gone on rampage. Because it's being mistreated, its needs are not being fulfilled. So it kills its owners, tramples them, kills other people like that. Okay, coming to properties or qualities. We can call it qualities also. Zag now your questions answered. So what are properties or qualities? It is the impact of one unit on its surroundings. Like I'm having some impact on you all. You are having some impact on me. Right? A tree is there, it has an impact on its surroundings. Okay? There is a stream flowing from here, it has an impact on its surroundings. Right? So every unit has an impact on its surroundings through its conduct. That impact is because of its conduct, because it's doing something, therefore there is a impact. Now this impact can be of three kinds. It can be a positive impact, which is to bring things together, or formation. It can be a negative impact, that is to break things apart, right? Or deformation. Or it can be an impact of continuation. That's what we are calling radiation. These are the three impacts. And a material can have such three impacts. Our biological life also has three such impacts. Animals can have such impacts. And humans can have such. So right now humans are having a negative impact. We are not having any positive impact or negative impact on things around.
Yeah, before I just didn't realize what the word mediation was.
We also use neutral.
Huh?
Neutral.
No, neutral is not the right word.
Mediation is
Neutral somehow communicates not doing anything.
Indifferent.
The form, if you look at the form, the material is based on shape, volume, density. Then the form of biological life is based on its genetic material. The form of a animal order is based on its lineage, and knowledge order is human. The form in knowledge order is only one, human form. In others, there is a lot of diversity according to their lineage or according to their genetics. So this is the thing. Anything on this? What time is it right now?
6:30.
35. A few minutes. Any clarifications on this table? Take a look. Think about it.
Human form also have effect of environment on it. Like we see the way races.
Yeah. The body is a physical thing, physical, chemical thing. So geographical location, geographical conditions have impact on it. But the form doesn't change in the sense of it is human form. You won't mistake a human for a monkey. Right? That much difference it won't make. You might call him a monkey, but
there have been prejudiced people who felt that some humans in some places were not fully human.
These stories are.
was it because they were not grooming themselves? That could also be the case. Color of skin.
I think it was because they gave them an excuse to dominate them.
Yeah. Right.
Like the Aborigines, they were not considered fully human.
Okay. Okay, this we have to do tomorrow.
No.
So we can do a review of what we talked about in this.
Mike.
This is what we did now. Yes. Andrew.
So, actually, in the previous session, I had a question, but it came towards the end, so I thought maybe I'd ask it in a later session. So, I was wondering, in what form is the Jeevan itself? Is it an act? Is it like, what form is it in?
So since it's an atom, right? Did I show that slide right now?
No.
So let me, because we have time right now, we can talk. So first of all, the form of an atom is atomic form, which is very minuscule, and it has a nucleus and it has some particles which are orbiting. So Jeevan is also like that. But the Jeevan has this ability of moving very fast. It moves at the speed of imagination, okay, which is much faster than what we imagine. The fastest speed we have imagined is the speed of light. So this Jeevan atom moves much faster. And because it is moving faster than that, it is able to form a shape. It's like if you burn a rope and you swing it hard, then even though there's only one point which is lit, but you start seeing a circle. Or like this fan, it has three blades, but it looks like a disc because it's moving fast. So this kind of a form, this Jeevan atom moving very fast, forms the shapes of the animal or the body which it is hoping to operate. So it has this need within its, because of its tendency. So its tendencies determine which body it will operate. So then it takes that shape. So a Jeevan which is running a cow body will form that shape of cow. And a Jeevan running, say, a monkey's body will have the form of a monkey. You and I would be in form of human beings. Like that. So its original form will be only atomic, very small, minuscule, but will form this kind of a holographic form because of its speed.
And so then the Jeevan atom itself is actually located in the body of whatever it's...
So like we said about the electrons, when they are moving very fast, we can't say where it is located. So it is with the body, but we can't pinpoint because it's moving rapidly, much faster than we can even when we say once one, in that time it would have done billions of times it would have gone through the body, that fast.
But it is in connection with the body.
Yeah, it is. That's how it runs the body.
But it's not in boundaries with the body, so it's not like the body's form blocks it.
No. It identifies with the bodies, therefore it stays with the body. It is not aware of itself. When we take birth, we are not aware of ourselves as conscious entities. We think of this conscious entity thinks of itself as a body. So it closely associates with the body. So there is this belief in it that I am a body. For this you need realization. That is the journey of self-realization. And I am not a body, I am a conscious entity. And when the Atma is able to see that, when we have realization or anubhav, that is what you see. You see yourself, so it is self-realization as well as the coexistence that I am permeated in space. This state also it is able to see. So realization of coexistence and self-realization both take place simultaneously.
Because I'm also thinking that because like people are, you can be born without an arm, say, or in the process of living you lose an arm or leg. You don't lose some part of your identity, you don't lose some part of who you think you are, you don't lose part of your image.
Yes.
So therefore, I thought that it cannot really be part of like it cannot be in boundaries with the body because otherwise it might lose some of its.
So very interestingly, so say suppose somebody loses an arm in an accident or war or something like that. There is a phenomena of phantom arm. She's a doctor, she'll be able to share that. They always have this feeling that there is something itching. They don't have the right arm, that there is an itch on the right hand. This is a well documented phenomenon.
So there is a representation of your body in the brain which is called as homunculus. So there is sensory homunculus and there is motor homunculus, which is in the parietal lobe, these two lobes, big lobes of the brain. And that's why they are not damaged. You can feel that the sensation is coming from the right arm.
So, in the science, they feel that this whole thing is programmed here, in the brain, and that is where it is operating. Here we are saying no, it is separate from the brain. Brain is the mediator between the conscious and the body. So, it is like the cockpit for the Jeevan. This is it's from the brain that it operates the body. The Jeevan communicates with the body through brain. Passes through the cerebral fluid at a certain momentum and leaves an impact, and because of that, the brain is sensitive enough to sense that. So human brain is the most developed structure on planet Earth. Human brains. The most sensitive. They can detect very minute variations. Very sensitive.
So it's like a transmitter for the conscious Jeevan atom to communicate with the brain, to communicate to your body. But it's not like the Jeevan atom lives in your brain itself.
No.
It's more like Wi-Fi, or I don't know.
It's a transmitter as well as receiver. It's an interface.
So it collects messages and it also sends messages.
Yeah.
Can my Jeevan interact with another person's Jeevan without us interacting through
Body?
Yeah.
People say so, but I haven't seen any evidence. Isn't it a lot easier to talk? I mean, no, I'm not joking. See, in existence, the very basic thumb rule is only that happens which is needed. So if you and I can communicate everything with the media, why should we communicate indirectly? We already have that facility.
Sometimes you sense something that happens.
Yeah, some emotions you can sense.
Not just emotion, it's just the energy of the person. There's a huge thing that you can. So I was wondering whether it's a function of Jeevan or is it something else?
No, whatever you're sensing in the end, it is the Jeevan. But how much of it is our belief system and how much is reality, that needs
It's
to
not
be.
quantifiable.
Also whether it's the virtual world or real world.
So it's happening within our mind or it's actually happening?
You're seeing some signals, some body language, some eye, some facial expression, some gestures. You're taking in all that input with your eyes, and there must be other stuff also.
Yeah.
So we have this ability of taking in some data points and interpreting them, making the correlations with them. We are amazing at making correlations, and which is really good. So eye switching, it could mean this. Such correlations we can make and things like that. And we are trained over thousands of years to sense this. So all that comes in. Yes, please.
Can you explain that Jeevan has mass, the Jeevan atom has mass?
Because it has particles. It is an atom, what you call electron, proton, neutron. It has all those. So it has mass.
You mean it's actually like an atom, like how we understand that?
Exactly, that's what. It's an atom. It doesn't do any physical bonding or chemical bonding. So it stays alone in the atomic form. But it forms associations through the body. We form relationships through our bodies. We bond through our, with the help of our body.
Hope.
Wait, let me finish.
I'm a bit actually a bit stumped with this right now.
So this is a question.
But this is being, I was asking, like, when you say this is being perceived, actually perceived,
Yes.
and hence we're using this language?
Yes. So I have not perceived it, I will not say that, but Nagaraji has perceived it, I am using that language. So what I am saying here is, like, this is, in philosophy, this has been a big question. What is the field of consciousness in human beings? That has been a very big question. So, where is the consciousness coming from? What is making consciousness? What is exhibiting consciousness? Let's put it simply. So, even right now in present science, neuroscience, they have concluded that consciousness is not a function of the brain. It seems something much more than it. But what it is, they are not able to see. And in the spiritual domain, they said it is something non-material. That's why this thing, because we are conditioned like this, so if it is not matter, physical matter, then it must be non-material. Right? That is why we go there. Here we are saying matter is of two kinds. I made that statement earlier. Sentient matter and insentient matter. The sentient matter is actually the conscious Jeevan atom. It is matter, therefore it's a unit, and it is in the atomic form. And this diagram is showing its atomic structure. It has 61 particles.
The Jeevan atom.
Yes. Like oxygen has 24 particles, it has 61 particles.
Then how does that not have some weight, even if it's like 0.1?
Good question. So why does it have weight? So what is weight?
Gravity is associated with mass.
Use the mic. I'll come to Gangu. I'll first, Gangu, what were you asking? Was it connected?
No, you can say first. I'll say.
Okay.
So I was just saying that when gravity has an effect on mass, it is called as weight. Like
That's an explanation you're saying. But what is weight? That's Hindi. What is it? Huh?
It can be measured. I mean, you can actually like measurement to it.
Like this thing has weight? How do we know it has weight? Huh?
To weigh something, it needs to be like its speed is so much. I think even though it has mass,
Which is,
So does it get pulled by gravity?
so let's look at this.
That's what I said.
Look at this. This is an object. Does it have weight?
Yes.
Yes. So when we say it has weight, how do we know it has weight?
If you leave it, it will
Put it on your hand.
This needs to
You put it in a hand, you feel the weight. Right? What are you feeling? You're feeling that if there was nothing underneath this will rush towards the ground. So we can say it is attracted towards that. Whenever things are moving towards each other, it's called attraction. So it is attracted to the earth. Because it is attracted, now we are obstructing its movement to the thing that is attracted. So it exerts a pressure. The pressure that we feel is called, very simple, common person's language.
And so on the moon, it will be different also.
Yes, on the moon it will be different because the force of attraction is much less. The force of attraction is called gravity. So do we know anything which is weightless?
Weightless.
Ah.
The Jeevan.
Nothing else? Okay. So, I'm making a statement, listen carefully. Anything which is moving in an orbit is weightless. So, Earth is weightless, Moon is weightless, all the planets are weightless, Sun is weightless, galaxies are weightless, all these entities are weightless. They all have mass. Wait, just a statement, let me qualify why I'm saying. You don't have to believe me, na? You need to understand. So weight we saw when there is attraction and that force is there, or attractive force is there, things are moving towards it. And if you stop that movement, then you feel that thing. So weight is actually related to movement of coming together. So it is based on attraction. But if suppose there was repulsion, again if we stop it from like a balloon which is full of hydrogen gas, we put our hand, it will exert some pressure. That will be, we can call it mathematical language, negative weight. Right? It will try to go up. It's like taking a piece of wood underneath water and it tries to go up. So if you put your hand on it, it will exert some pressure. Right? So this force which is being exerted is because it is either attracted or repulsed. What about things which are neither in a state of attraction or not in a state of repulsion? Would they exert any force? No, so there will be no weight. Now look at anything which is in orbit. Like we send our space shuttle into the orbit of the Earth. What happens there? Have you seen the astronauts on the TV? What are they doing? They're floating. Because their mass is intact. But there is no attractive force at the moment. So they're floating. Day before yesterday I was watching a video in which this lady astronaut is showing how she washes her hair in the space. Her hair is like this. And she has to wash. And the water doesn't even stick to your hair because there is no gravity or there is no force of attraction. So this is a very common state of weightlessness. Earth is moving with sun without going closer to it or going further from it. It is weightless. Moon is also weightless. All the masses are weightless in this universe. It is only within the planet Earth or any planets on the surface, the small objects which are attracted to the larger object Earth, that is where we feel the weight.
So what is keeping my Jeevan close to me? Like, why is it not just like...
It is not weight.
Huh?
It is not weight.
No,
It is there because Jeevan wants to express itself.
And
it has the desire to, in humans, it has the hope to be happy. And this hope is bringing it to a God. Attached itself to God.
it's unique to my body and hence it's hanging around my body.
Yeah, but unique to your body in the sense for a few years.
Yeah, of course.
After that, different body.
Yeah. That's it.
Let's go.
So to go back to your thing of Earth as a whole is weightless because it goes around in space and doesn't go closer or further.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go closer or further because there is weight. Because if there was no weight from the sun's gravity, it would go further away.
Why would it go further?
Because it would not be attracted. The sun is moving through the space and the Earth is following it. So in some ways it is moving towards the sun, it's just not hitting the sun.
It's moving
So,
with the sun.
wait. No.
Yeah, but if there wasn't
Even if you
gravity, it wouldn't be moving with the sun, would it?
Sorry?
If there wasn't gravity, would it be moving with the sun?
No, listen. There are two things. One is weight, one is gravity. They are two distinct things. Weight is the force felt on the object which is stopping the movement of an object because of attraction, right? So this is attracted, we are stopping it. There is the force exerted by this because it wants to move. Now, let's say for the time being that there is something called gravitational force which is acting, and let's take the classical physics model that Earth is trying to escape, and now it is trapped in the circular, right? Trapped in the orbit. So there is no movement towards the sun or away from the sun. So where is the force? Even in that model, it is weightless.
But for instance,
the weight will either be when things are coming together, like a spacecraft when it is re-entering, or the satellites which run out of fuel, they start falling into the orbit, from the orbit into the surface of Earth. Now it starts having the weight, because it's now attracted. But while it is orbiting, it doesn't have the weight.
It has mass.
It has mass. Mass is constant. So the easiest and the simplest physics is, if things are moving closer, it has weight, or they are moving apart, then there is repulsion, right? That is negative weight. But if they are neither moving closer or going apart, they are at within the same range, then there is no weight. Weight is a function of attractive force. That's why the astronauts are floating. If you were to take a weighing scale into the spacecraft and you try to stand on it, it will not show you weight. Because there is no pressure exerted on it.
but say there was something in between the Earth's orbiting pattern and the Sun. And the Earth, as it's moving in correlation to the Sun, comes into contact with that thing that's blocking it, say a rock or some asteroid. It will then put some force against the asteroid because it's in the path of where it's going. And then the weight will come into play.
Yes. So the indication there is weight is the movement of coming closer. If that is happening, then there is weight. If things are moving apart, then it is negative. Like a rocket is moving from Earth, it is exerting a force in the different direction. But if they are staying at equidistance, then there is no force of attraction or repulsion. So there is no weight or negative.
So you're saying that if while the Earth is in orbiting and there's nothing coming into contact, it has no weight, but maybe for the small time when it is coming into contact, there is weight in place somehow.
So suppose there is an asteroid which comes in the range of Earth and starts getting attracted to Earth. So the weight will be in the asteroid because it is moving in attraction to Earth. The larger body won't move towards it. It's the smaller body which will move towards it. The Hindi word for gravitation is Gurutvakarshana, where Guru means big. So being attracted towards the big is gravity. Gurutva Karshan. Karshan is Akarshan.
Attraction.
So obviously smaller body will move towards the larger body. It doesn't have enough force to exert to attract the bigger body. The bigger body is moving in small lines and this goes and joins it. So this feels the weight. If you try to stop that asteroid, whatever thing tries to stop the asteroid will feel the force. So very simple. Weight is there between two bodies. They are moving towards each other, or one body is moving to the other. If they are moving away, there will be a negative weight. But if they are equidistant, then there is no weight.
I'll try to give a last example. So say then there was a planet that was bigger than Earth in between the orbiting pattern, then Earth would then suddenly have a value of weight.
If, for example, there is Jupiter, and Jupiter has many satellites. Now when we were in school, they used to talk about 64 satellites. Now I think they have discovered about 90 odd. And they are all orbiting. right? Much closer to Jupiter than say Earth is to Sun.
Or the moon.
Like they are moons of the Jupiter. But in relation to Jupiter, they are not attracted, so they don't feel anything. So the principle very simple. If things are coming closer, then there will be weight. If they are equidistant, there is no weight. Provided they are moving. And in space, everything is moving. So there will be only three scenarios. Things will be moving and coming closer, things will be moving and going apart, or things will be equidistant. What do we see in this space? Naturally, all things are moving in equidistance. They have definite ranges from each other and they keep moving. That's why I'm saying most of the mass in the universe is weightless.
But you're not saying that just because there isn't weight now doesn't mean there can never be weight. Or you're saying that there can never be
Whenever
weight.
there will be movement of coming together, there will be weight. Yeah. Weight is a relative phenomenon. Mass is an absolute phenomenon.
So like,
Sorry. Yes,
it's
yes.
not equidistant, right? It depends on the mass. Like higher, it's more towards the higher mass.
Apogee and perigee you're talking about.
Okay.
That's what you're talking about. And
Not equidistant. Yeah, equidistant.
so the orbit is not circular, it is elliptical. So there is an apogee and perigee. Yeah. So the system which forms this in an ellipse is basically two circles which are joined together. There are two centers to it. So the body is at one center and the other body is going back. So this happens because there is some sort of a corresponding motion in both of them. But because there is a rhythm of being in that orbit, that's why I said it is always a range, minimum and maximum. Nature is full of ranges. Everything is in minimum or maximum. That is the balance. Balance is never one line. Balance is always a range, minimum, maximum. Right? So this orbit is basically a range, and this is weightlessness. There is no weight on this. This was taught in classical physics also. Who was there who was talking about Mir publishers? Oh, that was the last workshop. Vikram was talking. So those books, this is like in 1920s, there are writers who are writing about this thing. Like suppose, like this guy, Aristotle had said this. If give me a large enough lever, I will be able to move the planets. So this writer takes, let's calculate whether a human being can do this. So he did all the calculations right here. But in that, they were mentioning this part, that it doesn't have weight, it has mass. So classical physics also recognizes force of attraction, no? Gravity is a force of attraction. So if there is no attraction, there is no weight. Mass stays constant.
I was just saying that when we move in a fairy circle, we feel weightless.
That's a sensation which happens, and which is because of our changed dynamics with gravity. Because now there is another force acting.
Because they talk about the balance, the centripetal force and the gravitational force balance each other. So
Whichever way you see whether it is because of gravitational force and the straight line motion, classical model, or whatever model, weight will only be felt if there is a movement towards each other or movement away from each other. It is very simple for me, which they don't teach in schools these days. Yes.
Just to validate, that means that even the atoms, whether it is conscious atom or the non-living atoms, the particles that are moving around the nucleus, they also don't have weight.
So science also, they have negligible weight.
They are negligible. So in
The weight of an atom, atomic weight is from the nucleons, right? They do say that there is some weight, but in relation to, if we were to take the weight of, say, iron, so that weight comes from its nucleus.
Right.
the atomic weight, we take the neutron and the proton.
Yeah, we ignore the electron.
That this thing about the electron having weight needs to be verified actually, but there is no mechanism to carry all the experiments they have done. They are not accurate enough to say whether there is weight or not in that. That's what I mean. Because it's a very basic principle. You also think about it.
Bhaiya, what it is signifying here? Like it is saying that man, vritti, chitta, buddhi, they will be equidistant from each other.
No, I'm not saying these are orbits. I'm just
But
showing
like
orbits.
weightlessness, is there some significance to this?
Weightlessness basically signifies that it is not affected by any physical force. Like heat, magnetism, pressure, all these things are ineffective ones.
So in this atom, Atma will have weight.
So Atma also doesn't have weight in this because the magnetic properties get compensated in the balance with the rest of the thing. It's come to the opposite. It's an advanced physics course. Yes.
How does the attraction and repulsion relate to the Galileo's experience at this medium?
Which Galileo's experiment?
Where you have a ball, a heavy ball, and with a feather, which is
Yeah, because there is air resistance, no? So heavy ball, he said, or somebody said that if there are two bodies and they are dropped at the same time, they should fall at the same time because the force of attraction is the same. But the case is not so because with the feather there is air resistance, therefore which is a negative impact on the feather. So the iron ball will fall first. But if you take two same sized iron balls with one with more weight and one with less weight, but the same surface area, they will fall at the same time.
how does this relate with the weight thing that
No, that was different thing. See that if you remember Newtonian physics in class 8, they teach you three equations. F is equal to ma, b square minus u square is equal to half 280. I forgot to look. What are the equations? S is equal to u2 plus half 80 square. Yes, all those equations. Yes, those are basically Newtonian classical physics motions. So when you apply that equation, you realize that the weight will follow at the same time. Mass is not there in that. Mass makes no difference.
Jeevan is like just one atom or a bunch of atoms?
It doesn't. Hello, excuse me. Yeah, I'm at 7. Just please ask the question. So, Jeevan atom doesn't do any physical bonding. That means it doesn't get magnetically attracted to other Jeevan atoms. And it doesn't do any chemical bond. So it doesn't form a molecule of Jeevan. So they stay single. And they associate with the bodies.
No, for one person.
One atom.
One atom.
Jeevan. More than enough. एक ही नहीं समझ पा रही
And where does it sit in the body?
Everywhere.
So there is one atom
Which is, everywhere.
which keeps moving around
Very fast.
within the boundaries of the body.
You said not necessarily.
It is not bounded by the body, but it is within the range of the body.
And there is no like perimeter, how far it can go.
Aura, if you want to go to aura, no aura. No, but some people do so. I don't know aura. It is not visible in the aura. What you see in aura is something, I don't know what happens. It's not Jeevan. Jeevan can't be seen in any physical form.
But the
It can
scientists
only be understood.
are trying to locate this consciousness in brain and all. They're doing all kinds of experiments.
According to us, they will not be successful through physical chemical means. I can locate consciousness in all of you. See, we are talking conscious. So consciously we can see it. But physically, chemically you can't.
They're doing that, PET scans and all.
Anyway,
With
so
relation to, in reference to how many Jeevans, I'm just chatting with this Veda and
yes.
so normally there's only one Jeevan, but if you have a baby, then there are two Jeevans in your body.
No, there is a human being which is growing in a body. So, and there is no interference of the mother's Jeevan into the baby's Jeevan. So, at no point can the mother's Jeevan get into the baby's body and do anything, and baby's Jeevan can come into the. It is just the body nurturing the body, and that Jeevan is associated with that. It's there, and that they remain separate. Yes, yes.
Before human came, like human is like the physical evolution at
Biological
top.
evolution.
Biological evolution at top. Nervous system fully developed and all.
Yes, yes.
Before there was no humans.
Before
appeared.
humans, yes.
Was this still the sentient atom there, or it
Yeah.
came after? It was there.
The animals were they were running animal
Jeevan
body.
atom was there.
Jeevan atoms were running the animal body.
And before animals?
Jeevan atoms were there. That I am of the opinion, my personal opinion on that is, they must have developed at the time because the principle that what is needed becomes available in nature. So they must have evolved at the time when the body started developing. So in the planet Earth, that those changes must have taken place at that time. The conscious atom must have developed around that. That's my question.
Atom is indestructible.
Huh?
Atom is indestructible, na? So it would have been like.
No, it evolves from a physical atom. No? The physical atoms keep changing their configuration. So this configuration might form, then it becomes immortal.
It could have come from this.
It could have been an iron atom which became a Jeevan atom. It could have been an oxygen atom which became a, because it evolved from the physical. Atoms, physical atoms, you know, hydrogen becomes helium, helium becomes heavier, 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 and heavier elements become lighter, lighter, lighter. All that is known.
And like you were saying, Jeevan atom is got from Kumbh Parmanu.
Yes.
So it is anyway evolved from some
Yeah.
Just one question. Is
Yeah.
Jeevan atom also present in the animal form? Animals also?
Yes. So one line I have not mentioned which I must say, this is very important. And this needs an example. We may take about 5-6 minutes for this. So, in humans, the conscious is primary and the body is its tool. In animals, it's the other way around. Body is primary and body uses Jeevan for its, or the Jeevan does the work of the body. Right? This we can understand by a very simple example. Imagine there is a big field where there is a big, huge pile of grains. And from somewhere comes along a cow. What will it do? You start eating the grains, right? You will eat grains. How much will you eat? Your stomach is full. Yeah. Then what will happen?
Sit and remain.
Sit and then go away. Next day, because it knows there is food there, it will come back. What will it do? Again eat. How much? Stomach full, then go away. Next day, same thing. This cycle will repeat till the time this finishes or somebody stops it from time. Right? Now, imagine the same pile of grains and comes along a human being. What will? Let's take the case of he. What will he do?
Till the cow and eat it.
The cow is gone.
The cow is not there.
You take all the grain sacks, make sacks of grain.
Depending on which era he
So
said.
whatever you're saying, just look at whatever you're saying, that thought or that desire, what he's going to do is germinating from its conscious. Whereas in the cow, the signal is germinating from its body, hunger. So when the body's needs are over, then it doesn't need that object. It is not insecure. Whereas our insecurity in our conscious, we are not, even if we take over all that grain, that insecurity doesn't go away. So in humans, the conscious is dominant and the body is fulfilling what the Jeevan uses the body as a media or as a tool to fulfill its needs. Whereas in animals, The body is dominant. So this is a big distinction. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.